Cowboys and Sports Talk. My dad, my partner, my co-host, Cowboy Joe 64.
I am the father.
Just to get the Cowboys 2 good games to hopefully understand that they need to go receiver and go high with this next pick.
Yeah, yeah, that's really what this is gonna be about. All right, you're looking live at Generation to Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks. I'm the host, DJ. I tell you what. Join my co-host, my dad, Cowboy Joe 64 on Twitter, and we are live with another one. What's today? Monday.
Today is Monday, Blue Monday.
Blue Monday. So, I decided to name this this video here vibes. And it's just because it is cliche, but the overwhelming everyone is talking about the vibe that they're getting from being at the training camp and being at OTAs. So the thing with I was checking out today. I went and listened to all of the I want to listen to all of the rookies interviews, and I was blown away. Really, I was. And also, um, I was reading this article, and it was talking about how Shotty deliberately went out of his way to invite. They had Legacy Day or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and he went out of his way to invite all of the Cowboys legacy players and their families to the event with the new team and with the younger guys. And so I just thought that was cool. I mean, of course, Dallas Cowboys is always about legacy. We are probably the most popular sports franchise in the world. But for him to, the legacy thing, that's cool. It's always been a part of the uh of the Cowboys DNA and the Cowboys makeup. All of the Cowboys players, they always just, they always don't leave far from the nest. Once you're a Cowboy, you're really a Cowboy for life. No matter if you go somewhere, they really, a lot of the Cowboys legends, they do business with the Joneses. They stay a brand and the franchise. Well, you know, it used to be like rare that we would see like Emmett at the facility or Emmett making comments on the Cowboys. It'd be rare when we see Troy making comments on the Cowboys. It would be rare. Well, it's not rare when you see Michael, because Michael just, he is the brand. You know what I mean? So not with him, but other players, those other players, it's kind of like when you see them, it's kind of rare. But over the last 2 or 3 years, they have really, really, really been making their presence known. Like, Emmett doesn't ever just come out and speak it speak. It's always cliche. He always in business, but Emmett, this past off season, Emmett was just like going off and saying stuff that he's never said before and on Radio Row.
Emmett went off the
You
year
coming from
before
your you
last.
coming from your laptop. You're not coming from your microphone.
Let me fix that.
Yeah, Emmett went off. He was on Radio Row this year. He was promoting his liquor, and he was on the show. He was on 105.3 The Fan. He was talking for about 30 minutes. He was going off.
How about now?
Nah, it's still coming through.
Uh, how about now?
Mm-mm. You're gonna have to refresh it and then try to go to the refresh it.
Microphone USB.
Okay, yeah, that's it right there. Okay, so yeah, that's it. So what was you gonna say about him going off?
So am I still? This sounds kind of funny. I'm good.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in the season was that 23 when we were playing the Lions on that Saturday night? You was talking about it the other night when Dak rolled out on the end zone, threw that ball like 80-yard CD.
Yeah, that was 2023.
Well, Emmett, he wasn't happy after that game when
Jimmy went in.
When Jimmy went in and McCarthy almost blew the game.
Mm-hmm.
So Emmett was like he was really like he was almost saying we need to just if we had. He basically said if we had lost that game, he would have been in favor of firing McCarthy.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he also said that he said something to the tune of after they lost in Green Bay, he wanted to fire everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
but what I'm saying all that to say is that they're becoming more vocal. You know, Mike has always been vocal, you know, and he's local too. So, you know, you can just pull up on him at this restaurant. You know what I'm saying? So you always see Mike. You know, Dez is vocal. You always see Dez, you know. A lot of us know Dez personally. No big deal. But these other players that we starting to see on the scene at the behest of Shotty, purposely having them come up to the stadium to try to, you know, build a culture or whatever. It's crazy to see because you got some Cowboy players that don't normally get those invites, and so when they go into these OTAs and stuff like that, you can just see that like even the players are glowing. The previous players, they're glowing like, man, like, you know, what Shotty is doing is unique. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, it's not like we're I said this new generation is vocal between that and the state of the Cowboys. I believe it has inspired a lot of older players and coaches to speak up well. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Kevin. I
What's up?
agree.
What's up, nephew?
I agree. You know what I mean? But
Now
it's
I
just
really
like,
can't hear myself.
well, we can hear you. You have to
Okay.
change the out. You have to change the output on the you have to change the output on the audio to your microphone.
Let me go.
So they both should say USB. So the thing is like, but what this is what I'm saying. Like the new generation is vocal. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is just like how I was saying yesterday. Like, you know how it's always cliche, but Shotty is doing this on purpose. You know what I'm saying? And it's working. It's not like it's just, you know, like, oh yeah, they have a good culture. You know, like Dak said a couple of days ago. Dak was just like, yeah, we always say we have a good culture, but I mean, it is different this time. I mean, it's because they're really trying to do it. It's just like, you know, like the difference between having a God-given talent. Like, yeah, you have God-given talent, but it's different when you have God-given talent and then you get with someone that specializes in what you're good at. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
take you to the next level. It's just like Micah. Yeah, he has God-given talent, but when he gets with the right coach and the right people, they can put him in the right place. And you know what I mean? So it's just, you know,
And
it
that's
feels
the
good.
culture that his dad had at Cleveland, Kansas City, and San Diego. I mean, those teams,
Yeah.
they played hard. When you played them,
Marty
you,
Ball.
Marty Ball, you have to strap it on.
Yeah.
Now they were not like the offense, wasn't a whole lot of innovation and a lot of high tech. It wasn't the Sean McVay Shanahan. It
Yeah.
it was just basically, the 90s style Cowboys football where they're going to have a big physical defensive and offensive line. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to run the ball. That was just, you're going to have to stop the run when you played them.
Mm-hmm.
But, they could, throw it when they needed to. But that's the way his teams played. They played hard. Remember Sean Merriman?
Mm-hmm.
He played for Marty Schottenheimer at San Diego.
Yeah.
So when the Cowboys took DeMarcus Ware, Marty Schottenheimer and the Chargers took Merriman,
Mm-hmm.
and they turned him loose. Because, now quiet as kept. I don't know if you remember this. For a couple of years, Merriman was the better player, and he started getting hurt.
Yeah. I mean, he was always a baller.
Yeah, but he was better than Ware the first couple of years.
I can believe that.
But yeah, in that San Diego defense with Marty Schottenheimer, he was, if he hadn't started getting hurt, he would have been right there with Ware.
What's good, B Bird?
What's up, B Bird?
But yeah, so I mean, yeah, no, this whole thing that he's doing, it's just like things like that. It's just eye opening to me that I keep seeing things like that, and I'm like, yeah, that's unique. You know, it's not like, oh yeah, we at the training camp, and a couple of the old players decided to come through. It ain't like that. It's like, no, he specifically went out of his way to call those guys to get them to come here so he can try to like hype his team up. Like, listen, y'all play for the Cowboys. Y'all need to get it
Yeah.
together. You know what I mean? And it's just like, okay, everyone is saying the same thing. Okay, so you remember, and I don't pat myself on the back. You remember when I said that what the Cowboys and what the Joneses needed before this offseason, before everything, I said what they need is someone that's one of them, like Kellen or Shoddy, but that comes in and changes the way that they think. That someone that is like them, like on their team, but he comes in and this person has a change of heart, and this person has a change of heart, and he changes the way that they think. And so I said that. And now, like it could be Kellen. Like Kellen can come in and just say, okay, scratch that. I'm not the old Kellen anymore. I want to get this guy. I want to do this. Or it could be Shotty. Shotty can come in and say, okay, scratch that. I'm not being a yes man for the Joneses. I'm not doing that. What I want to do is I want to come in and I want to build my team. And so that's exactly what has happened. It's just like Cowboy fans, if you're a real Cowboy fan, or I won't say a real Cowboy fan, if you locked in, you can see and you can see and you can tell, you can understand that this offseason has been different than the past.
Yeah.
And for a long time. The things that they're doing is different. The way that their draft process, it obviously went different because they had a great draft, and even though they didn't, like, for instance, the number one slight on the draft was like, oh, they didn't get the receiver that we wanted them to get. But the whole time knowing that Shotty's in the background making sure that they hammer this George Pickens thing out. So it's just like, so they covered that. So it's just like, no, like defensive tackle. Nothing to me. I don't
You
think
think
that
they're gonna make a big move?
I do. I don't think that they're gonna because it's not that many holes on our team. So for that to be a glaring
Now
one,
I think DJ Reader, to me, that would be a big move. But you said you had
yeah,
somebody
possibly.
bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they could go bigger. They could. I mean, they have the cap space to do so.
Yeah.
They have excess players to do so if they need to make a bargain with. Like we got a lot of defensive ends that we don't need. We got a couple safeties that we don't
Well,
need.
they should be calling Detroit about Brock Hoffman because they lost their 29-year-old center and he's
Exactly.
retiring. So B-Bird said with the Joneses, you have to allow them to think that they are making the decisions.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what I was like alluding to. Like, like you can rewind it. I was saying this from the beginning. They need somebody that can come in that they think is on their team, and then that person just changes the philosophy of the thinking. And that seems to be what Shotty has done. I don't know what happened with Will McClay. I don't know what happened with their draft room on why all of a sudden they drafted better than they have in the past. But they did. They
Well,
did.
I think one thing that impacted them. So McCarthy, he came in with the same type of mindset that he had in Green Bay. In Green Bay, their general manager called a shot. So McCarthy was purely the coach. So I think some of that kind of carried over here, and that McCarthy could have been more aggressive. He didn't wield the power that he could have on a couple of these drafts. McCarthy should have just stopped the draft room down and said, "I don't want this player. I want this player. Let's take a look at this." And he didn't do that. He had a lot of respect for them, for Will McClay, but it was a couple of drafts where he could have just said, "Hey, you know what? I do not want to take this player. Let's look at this player." There was a lot of talk that the draft when they took Mozzie, that he wanted the offensive lineman. I
Matthew
can't think of it.
Bergeron.
He wanted Bergeron, and then there was another player that he wanted in another draft. But what happened this year? Shotty actually got up out of his chair and went over to the draft board and was pointing at players. McCarthy never did anything like that.
Hmm. And on top of that, we found out that Shotty was just like, we're not worried about the receiver because they said that he was talking to George Pickens and the Steelers and all of that.
Yeah.
They was doing that before the draft, during the draft, and after the draft.
Yeah, it was obvious to me the way they drafted that they had something up their sleeve with receiver.
Yeah.
Glad it turned out that way. Now we gotta hope they doing the same thing at defensive
DT
tackle. So we finna see in
cornerback.
the next few
Corner is
days.
corner not so much because like I was saying last year, we kept trying to figure out how do we have all these corners that were playing this good all of a sudden, like Butler. Butler would just came out of nowhere, and it's just like, dude, this dude is shutting the people down. And it's just
Yeah.
like, what I'm saying, he got hurt. But then it was just like Penn State. He was like, he came out of nowhere. He was playing good. You
I
know what I'm
wanted
saying?
them to sign that AO.
Yeah.
I wanted them to re-sign him. I thought he played well just to
Mhm.
be coming in the way that he did. But no, Michael Irvin, one thing I can say about the playmaker, if the Cowboys ever win a Super Bowl, the playmaker might have to be hospitalized. I don't think he's gonna be able to handle it. He's gonna be like just it's gonna be
He gonna be
somebody
fine.
they're gonna have to strap him in a
Yeah, he
what do
be
you call
tripping.
it
Yeah, they're gonna have to put him in
straight jacket.
in a straight jacket because
But
he off the chain.
so I saw Tony Casillas. I saw his video today. He was riding in his car. And when people like Tony Casillas are chiming in, when he said what he said today on his video, you got to just say some of this is valid. We still got to see it transfer to the field.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna play it right now. I was just watching that.
It's Casillas.
Hey, happy Monday. Hope you guys had a tremendous weekend. Cheers. Let's get some coffee in us. It is Monday, but it's a great weekend for me. I hope it was for you. Had a chance to spend time with my grandson. When your son has a
Yeah, he
son
like
which
us,
is
Big
exactly like
Bird. You
him,
right.
it is pretty surreal. One thing also is that it was Legends Day on Friday at the Cowboys OTAs, and I just want to thank Coach Schottenheimer for having us out. From the team meeting to the individual meetings to the walkthrough to the the team drills out on the field, it was a tremendous vibe and energy. And I know it's OTAs, but what I've heard, it's a totally different environment vibe than McCarthy was there. Nothing to be negative, but it's noticeable and keeps it loose but focus on the task, the energy, the tempo of moving to drills and just an urgency and really just having this good attitude and creating some confidence and everything that goes along with that with building the continuity. And Coach Schottenheimer, he has done that. I know it's OTAs, I'll tap the brakes, but it's one hell of a start. I just saw a lot of team unity out there. And I think that's important when you're trying to build something special. George Pickens look awesome. That's going to be pretty scary on that side of the ball. And the coaches, their passion, how they're coaching, you can tell. And it's definitely authentic. So with that, happy Monday.
So I was going to tell you before I lose my train of thought. So I don't even know if you know the story about Casillas with the Cowboys. So take you back to OG Cowboys tale. So Tony Casillas was like the #1 pick in the draft. He went to OU. So he was like All-American, the whole nine. He got drafted by the Falcons. So he was on the team when Deion Sanders was there. So he's the #1 pick in the draft. He was defensive tackle. He went to the Falcons. He didn't really do much. So Jimmy drafted Russell Maryland, who was the #1 pick in the draft when Jimmy drafted it from Miami. So Russell Maryland, to me, he was kind of like a pseudo Mozzie. He was better, played with a whole lot more energy. Russell Maryland, loved football. And
Mike,
so
shout out to Mike.
Hey, Mike. Good to see you. We'll talk about the Eagles. So, but anyway, so Jimmy, he traded for Casillas. So Casillas came in and just restarted his whole career. But he was that guy like next to Russell Maryland that Russell Maryland needed, that veteran. And so that's the kind of thing that Mozzie needs. Mozzie needs a veteran like that to come in and just kind of show him the ropes. But what is Mike saying? Glad y'all be able to give us a little more competency.
I'm finna get him together real quick. So the thing about that is, it's just like, let's not act like we don't give y'all competition every other year, because we do. I mean, it's not like it was just a couple of years ago we just beat the brakes off y'all. Like, it wasn't that long ago. And then we got our whole team got hurt last year, Mike. This is common knowledge. It's not like y'all are playing a healthy Dallas Cowboys team, but no excuses. This is football.
They got the upper hand right now.
Y'all won the championships.
They've been in 2 Super Bowls.
Y'all have the best ran franchise in pro sports. You got to give it to them. They do. So yes, we're trying to catch up to y'all. So that's what we're trying to do. I'm just got to be honest. We're trying to catch up to y'all, but I think we're gonna be on y'all tail this season. It's gonna be a good season. Hopefully, we need to get with Mike. We need to go to that game. We need to go. We're not go to the game. We need to go to the Philadelphia Dallas game at that what's that thing called? Where the room, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Keith was talking about.
Or we can just go to the game.
Yeah, or we can just go to the game. So
I'm sure his dad would be up to it.
yeah. We need to do that. So we need to call. I need to call. We need to call Uncle Eric and see if we can go to the Philly game. That'd be a crazy experience. You know what I'm saying? So and then yeah, that would be a good experience. But the Eagles, man, like I said, I think my hot take is that they're gonna be good toward the end of the year. But I think they're gonna start off slow, and I think they're gonna start off slow just because they lost some players, but the dynamics of their team is still the same. They still got their best players, so I think they're gonna be right in the mix with everybody else.
And Mike, we gonna get you on our show before the September 4th game for sure.
Yeah,
With Uncle Eric.
yeah,
That's gonna be like we got to get Kyron on too.
yeah. We got to get Kyron on too.
So that's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be that'll be a nice show. So we got to get you on. We got to get Kyron on. We got to get your dad on. And then yeah, but this season is gonna be really good though, man. I mean, I'm talking about this schedule that we got, the schedule that y'all got is crazy because they got the same schedule we got. So it's really a crazy schedule. Okay, Mike. So yeah, we got you. We gonna make sure that happens.
We gonna hook that up.
Yeah, we got that. And so back to what I was saying about the Eagles, I just think that they're gonna be coming off of raising the banner, winning a championship, So it's gonna be like they're not gonna realize it's game time until about game 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying? And then they're gonna be like, okay, now we gotta step it up before we, you know what I'm saying? And then they're gonna come back to form. But
so Saquon is on the cover of Madden.
Man, and he deserved to be on the cover of Madden. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I be telling everybody, okay, so Mark Anthony Mike, okay. I'm telling everybody, you can't look at the Eagles and say, oh, Jalen Hurts won this and Jalen Hurts won. No, they all did. If it wasn't for Saquon really put them over the edge.
Yeah, it was his year. He was
his year, man.
And he did win MVP, right?
Nah, Josh Allen did, I think. Okay. Right?
You might be right.
Did Saquon win the MVP? I don't know. I have to think about it. But yeah, so Shotty, man, I'm just all of these players are saying this. You know what I'm saying? All of these players are saying this. You see what I'm saying? They all are saying the same thing about the continuity, about the chemistry, about the culture and all of this. And these are players, so they know that this is cliche and they know that this is like something that you would say about every team. But for them to keep emphasizing that and saying like, nah, this is really happening like we say it is. And it's coming from everybody. Everybody's saying that.
Did we put Kenneth Murray's interview on hold, or did we actually do it when he spoke last week? I can't remember if we watched it or not.
We watched it halfway through.
But so we found out today that he's the green dot guy. We thought it was going to be
Jack Sanborn.
Yes, Josh Allen won MVP.
Yeah.
So we thought it was going to be Sanborn, but it sounds like per John Machota, shout out to John, he said the green dot guy is Kenneth Murray. So
but what I was saying about that, I don't really think that really he gonna be.
You don't think it's that big of a deal?
Nah, because if it was that big of a deal, Jack Sanborn would have a green dot. He's a better player, and he knows the defense.
I can see that.
And he's a better player. He knows the defense, and he is Eberflus's guy. So he would be the green dot if it was that important. This is OTAs. Their competition ain't even arrived yet. Right now, Kenneth Murray and Jack Sanborn are the best linebackers on the team right now. And their competition haven't even came in the building yet. They haven't even played with Micah, and they haven't even played with Overshawn. They haven't even played with the guys that gonna be Leah Fowl. They haven't even played with the guys that's gonna be trying to get them out the field. Once now here's my thing. I like Murray too. We all like Kenneth Murray. He's a Texas guy.
He's from Missouri City, where our cousin Mike Gray. That's where he's from.
Yeah. So Yeah, so half our family is from Houston, so we know Houston is our second home. And, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
but anyways, we've been wanting to marry. We wanted. My dad was trying to get married a couple years ago.
out of OU. Yeah.
Yeah, no, before that, well, after that, after he was in the
Hmm.
league for a couple years, before he went to the
Yeah.
Chargers or whatever. So
And we gotta just keep it a buck. When I watched his tape, B Bird, you could just see some dominant play, but you can also see where he's
lost.
running in the wrong gap. He's lost. Now, one thing I didn't see from Murray, we've talked about it before. I never saw him have a guy in his crosshairs and he just come up short and don't make the tackle, or he whips, or
Nah,
he makes the tackle. So
yeah, he's a
now if
great
you
addition. But let me.
if he's coming downhill at you, you're not
Mhm.
going very far.
Nah, he about that life. But let me
Yeah.
put it like this. I'm gonna add on to what you're saying, and I'm gonna say this. So I'm gonna break this down. So Kenneth Murray is a great addition, and he's a great addition or whatever. But Jack Sanborn is a better addition.
Oh,
Uh,
you like Sanborn.
Sanborn is 24 years old. He was like, the Chicago fans, they was upset when Sanborn left, because they were just like, that was so dumb to get rid of him, because he's a budding emerging player. That video that I played, like, about, like, I don't know, about four or five videos ago, the title of that video is "Why Jack Sanborn is an Emerging Superstar," and that was before he was with the Cowboys. So this was just somebody that was just making a video about him, and
Yeah.
so he's 24.
Do you know how
Even
old Murray is?
I think he closer to 30, if I'm not mistaken, but I
Can
can look
look
it
that
up.
up. But those
Yeah,
two guys,
yeah.
they're going to be the starting linebackers against Philadelphia. I don't see that really changing. Of course,
Oh, he's
it's a lot.
26. He ain't that old.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think he's 30. Yeah,
Nah,
he
26.
but so yeah, these guys, they can really play off each other. So I think those are your starting linebackers. And we was talking about it earlier today. You know, the way this defense is shaping up, especially a defensive tackle, they're going to have to play well because they're going to probably just have guys coming down hill at them. Unfortunately, yeah. I still don't understand B Bird right today why Damone Clark is still on the team.
Me
And
neither.
and let me say this about
I don't
Damone
understand.
Clark. It was a lot of people. One thing I would say about Cowboy fans, it's a whole lot of Deuce Vaughn fans. It's a whole lot of Damone Clark fans. And when I first started doing my thing on Twitter, man, the smoke for Damone Clark was so big. And one of the things I disagree with, people would say that he's having problems diagnosing plays. And to me, that was never his problem. A lot of times he would know exactly what he was doing, where the play is going. He just didn't want to make the tackle
Yeah,
because
because he had a neck injury
he
out
had
of
an injury, and he played like he was protecting himself. But yeah, it's one of those. I was thinking this June 1st thing, he was going to be one of the ones to cut. Now Zimmer played him a couple of games last year, then he got him out of there.
Yeah, he wasn't even. You didn't even know he was on the squad for a while.
So
Now,
Mark,
DT,
defensive tackle is the biggest question.
that's the
No,
biggest question, and that's
yeah,
why I said that everything that I'm seeing, everything that we've seen, how they've addressed just about everything. I mean, nothing tells me that they're not going to address DT. I think that they are. I think that they are.
yeah.
I think that after the June 1st cuts and all this stuff happens, I think that they still. I think that they probably
Well,
gonna get someone,
so
or they can get DJ
it's
Reader, or
it's still some holdovers like myself that are thinking this is still the old Cowboys and that they're going to be done. They feel like they're like, you know, they really feeling
well,
themselves. So I'll believe it when I see it. Now I said the same thing about receiver. So hope you right. Now is this your last domino or you still got the defensive tackle and the corner?
yeah, I think yeah, no, I mean my dominoes had already fell. All of them fell. I think that but yeah, you can add that DT and corner. I think that corner is like Stephon Gilmore before the season starts, and DT, I think that they're going to get someone. I think that they are.
So Will Steele had a couple of guys. I watched his show on I think that was Friday. So shout out to Will Steele. He had a couple of guys that were I thought I kind of liked their the way they look. I can't remember their names. So it was those are the kind of guys they're probably going to be looking at. So, but I would just say all of the guys that we're talking about, they really could come in and they could start at one technique. I think they're gonna show Mozzie some respect and just let him get the start. But I think these guys that we're looking at, it wouldn't shock me if game 3 or 4, they're starting at one tech.
Yeah, I think it'll. I think yeah. Once training camp gets here, unless Mozzie knocking their socks off or something, I think yeah, I think it's gonna be addressed too because it's really the only glaring hole that we have. I mean, everything else, we're
Well,
not
in corner, they still need that veteran corner because other guys are hurt.
right. But I mean, that's easy to get. I don't think that that's like a, what I'm saying.
And we
That's
might
not like
have the guy. Is it Elam? He
Tyler
might be
Elam,
that guy
right?
for
And one
a
one yeah,
couple of
might be that
games.
guy.
Yeah, you talking about Wanye playing corner, but
Yeah,
I want Wanye to play safety. But
well, he can
yeah,
do both.
I watched a video today that Jake Tuck posted. They had Wanye playing deep safety. We was playing the Chargers, I believe, and Wanye came from way downfield and came up and just made a tremendous play. And that's where he needs to play. So, but yeah, I'm hoping that Wanye can play more safety.
And the thing about one year is, like I was saying, he came in the league as a corner. He
Yeah.
came in as a corner, and then on top of that, he let me see, what else was I finna say before I was interrupted. Uh, no, Wanye, when you running a 4-2-5, you need that. You have an extra defensive back. So that extra defensive back, which is a nickel back, they kind of play. They kind of play both. They kind of play safety and they kind of play corner. They kind of
He
play. They're the
covers,
nick.
yeah. He
They're
covers
the,
well.
yeah, and he hits well. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So he's aggressive. So
Well, the play that I saw today, I thought what was most important is that when he made the play, he bounced up, he was doing the hand signals, he was dancing. That's what we need. I don't the Cowboys, this energy thing, that's a big deal for them. And so you need to get as many guys on the field that show that energy. And he's one of them.
yeah, like I made that comment about when we played Washington last year, how everybody knew that he needed to get down so we can win the game, but he was just like
Hmm.
to hell with it. He was just so in the moment that he just took off and ran as fast as he could. He was just like, I'm not. All caution went out the window. He was not being
Yeah.
safe. Like I said, also his first snap ever played was an interception. He came from way across the field and picked the ball off. The first snap that he ever played in the preseason. So it's just like, man, Wanye needs to play either at safety or corner or whatever. But if you can't get nobody else to fill that role, and you mean to tell me that you got to put Wanye out there day one in the slot, I'm cool with that.
So let's we're gonna kind of wind down. We're not gonna be on long. I did hear some updates today on Micah. Things are still at a standstill, and then I heard that he actually went to Spain. So
That's cool.
so I think the mandatory OTA it's either next week or the week after. So that's going to be kind of like the next big story with Micah. Does he actually come to the mandatory OTA? So that's going to be what's coming up next.
I don't think it matters if he does or not.
Well, that was sort of the commentary today, but that's going to be the next sort of benchmark, and then we get closer to training camp, but we'll kind of see. I heard some people today talking about the fact they think that this deal is going to get done, and now other thing we got to think about is what may also be at play. TJ Watt, he's literally like not doing anything with the Steelers.
Mhm.
So what may happen is David Mulugeta, they may just be waiting for TJ Watt to sign. So once TJ Watt signs, that's the domino that you talk about. So whatever TJ Watt gets, that's going to let Micah and Mulugeta know what he's going to get, and that's probably what's going to bring it to a close. They don't want to sign before TJ Watt. I thought about that today. And
Yeah,
TJ
somebody.
Watt is not doing anything. He's not showing up at the facility at all.
Mm-mm. Yeah, no, and yeah, they
So
don't want to. They don't.
if he becomes the highest paid, at that point, Micah deal is probably going to get done because there is nothing else to do, nothing else to look at.
Nah, nah, and then of course, that's what the Joneses they gonna cave on that. Of course they gonna always they did the same thing with CD. They was
Yeah.
just like, oh no, we gotta wait for
Well, they
all
did it
these
with
other.
Dak.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of Dak, I thought this was hilarious today. Um, I watched Dak interview, and Dak is funny, but watch Dak on this before we wrap. It's just some comedy from Dak. Let's see. So a reporter asked a stupid question, and Dak gave him an answer to let him know that was a stupid question. This is Dak. This is Dak being Dak.
Mad at them for frustrating about wanting to win and wanting the ball. So it's the communication, it's the relationship that we're building and we'll continue to build, whether it's amongst me and GP or CD.
We talked about this in the past.
Where you were, like in a normal off season, healthy, all that.
Am I behind? No.
How did you catch up?
Just, left the season early. I was hurt. Like, excuse me. Like my off season started way earlier, so that's sorry. Yeah, sorry for the language, but yeah, my off season started way earlier, so that's really essentially why I'm hurt.
Like a normal off season.
What?
Healthy, all that.
Am I behind? No.
How did you catch up?
Just, left the season early. I was hurt. Like, excuse me. Like my off season started way earlier, so that's sorry. Yeah, sorry for the language, but yeah, my off season started way earlier, so that's really essentially why I'm.
He asked him, "How did you catch up? How did you catch up?" And like he was just like, "Are you behind?" And he was like, "No, I'm not behind. I'm ahead of schedule." And he was just like, "Well, how did you catch up?" And he was like, "I mean, like he was like, he said he said." Well, MF, I was hurt the whole. I left the season early. I mean, what mean like what? So like that. So now that you know what he said MF. That's what he said. Like I left the season early. Like so. Now that you,
yeah. So maybe when we do our.
Like now that you know what he said, let's watch how he look at him and like he looking at everybody.
Am I behind? No.
How did you catch up?
Just, left the season early. I was hurt. Like, excuse me. Like my off season started way earlier, so that's sorry. Yeah, sorry for the language, but yeah, my off season started way earlier, so that's really essentially why I'm ahead. On top of working with Brett, working with this training staff, and Luke.
We didn't think you'd do everything.
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I think Dak is in a good headspace. I mean, you're a Dak guy, so maybe we can do our Wednesday show around where you think Dak is, where we think he is. I think Dak is kind of, to me, from an OG standpoint, to me, he's in the Romo, John Elway phase, the end of their career where they knew the offense like the back of their hand. It wasn't really a whole lot you were going to do to fool them. Even like the Vic Fangio thing, we can talk about that on Wednesday. I don't think he really is bothered by Fangio now. He won't be when they start the season.
The only reason why he's bothered by Fangio is because cover 2 he couldn't run that year. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't really run that year coming off of that.
He didn't really have a receiver or the tight end.
Right. So the cover 2 is not going to be a problem for him anymore. You know what I mean? Because he can move and he got a better line up front to kind of get him.
We got to break down on our show where you think Dak is, and I want to just kind of throw in my Elway Romo stuff, and we can show some Elway stuff with that. So we can go ahead and wrap it, and we'll just kind of talk about we'll plan our show Wednesday around where we think Dak is, because I think that his offense, I think he's going to be like a master with it.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's hitting that point in his career. That's why I'm really nervous about like the health thing. Like they got to make sure that he stays healthy because he's in that sweet spot in his career where he really can just like you said the Romo and the Elway part where Romo was just mastermind. So yeah, we're gonna wrap. We had to come on and we're gonna say we're gonna go about 30 minutes. So we appreciate everybody joining. And we're gonna come back on Wednesday. We're gonna talk about where we think Dak is. We're gonna talk about the offense, and we're gonna see what try to draw some conclusions out of that. See what's going on with Dak, And
so I'm gonna reach out to B-Bird. So let's try to see if we can get with him on Friday or Saturday, whichever one we do. I'll reach out to him.
Okay, yeah. So B-Bird, be looking out for that. My dad gonna reach out to you so we can try to get you on, so we can chop it up. Maybe Friday or Saturday.
Or Saturday, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see what his schedule is looking like.
Okay. So yeah, y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and be on the lookout for that Wednesday. We gonna come on probably around the same time. So y'all look out for us, and we appreciate everybody coming on and supporting, and everybody commenting. And it's really, really, really a great thing. You know, we really enjoying ourselves. So we gonna keep doing it till the wheels fall off. We gonna keep rolling, and you know, we how many more days we got to the season? What, 90, something like that?
Yeah, and we still trying to grow our
Grow our
show
channel.
and new to the YouTube game. Still trying to improve some things. We got a lot of ideas for the season on what we're going to be doing. So we appreciate you guys just hanging with us.
For sure. So y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and we'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.